You're listening to Greater Good Radio Hawaii. Please visit us online at greatergoodradio.com. Today's guest is Jean Higgins, film and TV producer, responsible for overseeing the production of more than $500 million in motion picture and television projects. She's a member of both the Directors Guild of America and the Producers Guild of America.
A lot of people don't realize the work that you folks are doing with the community. I know that I was introduced to that through the Pacific Century Fellows and our group meeting with you. Are you able to share some of that with us?
Well, I hope this year, which will be our season 3, we're able to do a lot more. Last year, we set up a very sort of loose internship program with Kamehameha, which sort of drove my assistant Kayleen and I to explore how we could formalize it better and add more to it. And we just sort of came up with a curriculum, but it was something that we really wanted to do. One, because we have a relationship with Kamehameha, what we call our backlot out at Police Beach. We rent from the Kamehameha Foundation. So this year we're going to try and make it bigger. We're going to try and expand it to more schools. The question is just how many can we absorb at any given time? But what it's done is, in terms of talking with the studio, we've found little branches and places at Disney that are wonderful, that are there really ready to help and aid, and that do fellowship programs and grants. So we're trying to set up a whole structure where we can really more formalize it and make it very specific to Hawaii, because we are a Hawaiian production, and expand it.
The thing that kind of surprised me was when you folks go into an area, you actually clean it before you even do anything there.
Oh, we have to clean it. It's anytime you go into the jungle and you see these large mounds of foliage, more often than not, we discover a rusted out car underneath. So I was asking the location manager at one point for just a count of how many junked cars have we removed over the course of the season, and he sort of lost count at 100. So we have to go, because our actors run through the jungle. They take falls in the jungle, or the stuntmen take falls in the jungle. We go in, we don't just clean up the used cars. We take out the old tires. We clean up the glass. We sift the beach. We always leave it better than we found it. And granted, there are a lot of us. We go in, we tromp on the plants, we refoliate, we go back in and replant.
Wow. And then I noticed that you folks also did some things with local businesses to kind of help local businesses as well. People don't see that, but can you talk about it a little bit?
Well, mostly we just try and give all our business out locally here. It's twofold. One, because we were operating under Act 221. We're required to do 70% spend, 75% spend, Hawaiian spend. Right now, I've gotten us up to about a 90% Hawaiian spend, which is both making some of the mainland businesses where there was no counterpart in Hawaii. We've had them open up branches here in Hawaii, and also just using Hawaiian suppliers. I mean, all my department heads will tell you, I am constantly going, why do you think you need to get this on the mainland? Find it here. And you'd be amazed at what you can find. Often there are not a lot of choices, but there's going to be at least one.
And that 90%, can you give us any ballpark or so? Is that how much money that is, actually?
To Hawaii, that we spend about $70 million a year here.
Substantial.
So...
And then, as you've been in business in your life, have you gotten involved with nonprofits and community organizations yourself, or is it primarily through the studio?
Mostly through the studio, but only because our hours are so killer. It makes it really hard to be actively involved and find the time to go to the meetings, because the meetings are always when, oh, sorry, I have to shoot tonight, or sorry, I've got a Saturday that we didn't expect, or so what we find is it's much easier just time-wise for us, but it's also more meaningful really for the organizations to funnel it through the studio. So we have done a lot of auction off a set visit to Lost. We've donated pieces of wardrobe, items of clothing, props, so that they fetch far more than their market value by virtue of what they are, and it's a great way to help raise money for charity.
Thanks for joining us today on Greater Good Radio. For more information or a transcript of today's show, please visit us online at greatergoodradio.com. This is your host, Evan Leong and Carrie Leong, saying please join us next time for another episode of Greater Good Radio, Hawaii.